Today I'm going to help you choose between MacBook Pro, whether the regular display or with Retina display, and the iMac 2012. Today I'm not going to talk about the 13-inch MacBook Pro because they're uncomparable between the 13 and iMac, because the 13-inch MacBook Pro models give you only dual-core processors, whereas the iMac and the MacBook Pro 15-inch give you quad-core processor. The primary advantage of getting the 15-inch MacBook Pro over the iMac is firstly portability. But since Apple reduced the weight of the new iMac desktop, so now the entry-level 21-inch iMac weighs only 5.6 kilograms. And if you've been keeping up with my program, my videos, you may have heard I said millions of times that the iMac is a laptop computer without battery. So at the weight of 5.6 kilograms, the iMac can be removed, but not very frequently, just occasionally. What about the iMac? The iMac is better than the MacBook Pro because of value. I think the greatest example and the most obvious example is, even though you buy the top of the line 15-inch MacBook Pro with Retina display for $27.99, this machine is still slower compared to the entry level of the 27-inch iMac for $1,799. So you pay $1,000 more for only portability. So I'm going to go deeper into 5 categories. Firstly, the screen. Obviously, the iMac screen is bigger than the Pro. Whether 21-inch or 27-inch, these iMac screens are larger than 15-inch MacBook Pro, but the MacBook Pro with Retina display gives you higher resolution. So if you want to do photo editing, if you want to play a game that has been specifically designed or tailored to fit the resolutions of the Retina display, or if you want to be able to read clearly on the screen when you want to read web pages like New York Times pages or anything, or if you want to do movie editing, if you want to see tiny thumbnails in Final Cut or iMovie clearer, you might choose the MacBook Pro with Retina display. If you need something really clear, if you need sharper details on the screen, you can take advantage of the 15-inch MacBook Pro with Retina display. But if you don't really care about the resolution, you do care about the screen real estate. When you do several tasks at the same time, you do exposure or mission control, you do several tasks, you might need the iMac screen, whether it's 21-inch or 27-inch. What about the processor? Today I'm not going to talk about processor much because they are almost identical. Full models of the 15-inch MacBook Pro and full models of the iMac 2012, whether 21-inch or 27-inch, they are almost identical. In terms of processors, the iMac 2012 models are faster than MacBook Pro 15-inch 2012, but not much, just slightly. So I'm not going to talk about processor. So when you do CPU intensive tasks such as render graphics, export movie, convert videos, copy file, duplicate files, it's entirely up to you. You can choose any model, they are almost identical, pretty much the same. What about the RAM? A bit tricky. If you buy the 15-inch MacBook Pro 2012 and you don't choose the one with Retina display, you can get only 8 GB of RAM for the maximum. But if you choose the one with Retina display, Apple allows you to customize your RAMs up to, or configure your RAM up to 16 GB. But you have to do it online. You have to go to the Apple online store, order it, go to the custom to order page, and you increase the RAMs to 16 at the maximum. And now you can see we have some limitation here. Non-Retina MacBook Pro 15s allow to get only 8 GB of RAM. Retina display MacBook Pro 15 gives you up to 16. What about the iMac? Same story. You buy the 21-inch iMac. Apple allows you to increase the RAMs up to 16, but you buy 27-inch. And by the way, the 16-inch that you will get from the 21-inch iMac, if you want 16, you have to increase the RAM to 16 on the original purchase date via the custom to order page on the Apple online store site. But if you purchase the 27-inch iMac, you can increase, you can play around with the RAMs later on. What about the graphic card? Graphic card is a different story. If you buy the MacBook Pro 15-inch 2012, the graphic cards across the entire line are almost identical. They are almost identical. You don't have to be really serious about the graphic card. As I said in my prior video, if you want to choose the MacBook Pro 15-inch 2012, I would suggest the higher end without Retina display, or the entry level with Retina display. But of course, if money is not the problem, probably you're a billionaire or the company will pay for the machine, I would strongly suggest you should buy the top of the line Retina display MacBook Pro 15-inch 2012. But for the graphic cards of the iMac, it's a different story. If you buy the 21-inch iMac, you won't see any huge difference between the two model entry or top of the line, but you will see a huge gap when you move to the entry level 27-inch, and it's going to be even faster. There is going to be even larger gap or bigger gap if you go to the 27-inch iMac 2012 top of the line. So therefore, if you buy the 27-inch iMac entry level, it's faster and much faster than the top of the line of 15-inch Retina display. Even though the entry level iMac is $1,000 US cheaper than the top of the line 15-inch. So first of all, before we go deeper into even more complicated detail, I have to ask you one important question. How do you plan on using your computer for? If you don't need portability, I would strongly suggest that you should get the iMac, not the MacBook Pro. And you might think, Mark, why did you decide to make such video like this? Because I've been working for Apple for decades, and I have seen many people who purchased a laptop, whether it's Air or Pros, 15, 11, 13, and they have never taken their Mac out of their table. It's a true story. They bought a laptop because that laptop might look nice for them, but they used their laptop as a desktop replacement. But they didn't, or they were not aware that if they have chosen a desktop, which is the iMac, they should have saved tens of thousands of hours sitting in front of the Macs and waiting for a task to be completed, like converting video, export iMovie or Final Cut movie, render Adobe After Effects, whatever, copy file, duplicate files, things like that. And lastly, this is going to be really fun. I'm going to talk about the hard drive. The iMac gives you better value in terms of hard drive, but things can be a bit tricky, because in the past I made video about the comparison between Pro and Pro 15s and the iMac, and at the time I was talking about when you buy the Pro you will get 2.5 inch, okay, and if you buy the iMac you will get 3.5 inch, so larger drive, spinning faster also. But this time it's going to be a different story. The different story is, even though you buy the iMac 2012, but due to the form factor, it's thin, it's very thin. Therefore, if you buy the regular iMac 2012 without changing the drive into Fusion drive, you still get the 2.5 inch. So it won't make any difference. For me personally, when my viewers, my friend on YouTube ask me many times about my suggestion, I always add one phrase that one opinion that you should upgrade the drive to Fusion drive. Apple have not yet released the price for Fusion drive for iMac, but they have released the price for the Mac Mini. 1 terabyte of Fusion drive for Mac Mini, you're gonna pay $250, $250. So that's interesting. That's interesting. So, but for me personally, you buy, let's say, the higher end of the iMac 21 inch, $1,499. You upgrade to Fusion drive. You add, let's say, for example, $250. I don't know for sure. It's still way cheaper than you buy the top of the line Macbook Pro 15 inch Retina display. You got only 512 gigabytes of flash storage. I know that the pure flash storage is still faster than Fusion drive, which is a combination of flash storage and regular rotational drive, but it's slightly faster, not much. So it's not that difficult. Apart from asking yourself how do you plan on using your computer for, apart from asking yourself do you want to carry it on the road, do you need portability, or do you want to be able to use it at home or on the road? If you need Retina display, of course you have to buy the MacBook Pro because you need Retina display. iMac is huge, but you get less resolution for the screen. So sometimes as a professional photographer, but of course you're a professional photographer, you might need a computer that you can carry around with you on the road. This makes perfect sense. You need 32 gigs of RAM. Of course you have to buy the iMac because you need 32 gigs of RAM. You need very fast graphics. You need to do animation, movie, like 3D movie. Of course you need iMac, at least 27 inch, but I would suggest the top of the line iMac because that one, the top of the line 27 inch iMac give you one of the best mobile graphic cards on the planet right now from NVIDIA. And of course, if you're a graphic professional, you don't render 3Ds on the road very much. You don't, trying to create the next episodes of Brave on the road, okay, or on the train or something. No, or the next episode of Jurassic Park 4 on the road. You might need a desktop one. So that's it. That's my comparison. After you ask yourself many times if you want to buy the 15-inch MacBook Pro, I would suggest the higher end 15-inch without Retina display or entry level with Retina display. But if you can, I would suggest the top of the line because the drive speed of the one without Retina display is only 65 megabytes per second, but for the one with Retina display it's 450 megabytes per second. So when you turn it on, you boot up to move files, you open apps, to turn on your Mac, boot the system up to 5 times faster. If you want to buy the iMac 21 inch or 27, if you want to buy the iMac 2012, I would suggest higher end, whether 27 inch or 21 inch. I would strongly suggest you should upgrade the hard drive to Fusion. In the long runs, within the next 3 years, you can save probably 3,000 hours. Who said times cannot be bought? We all can purchase time. We buy Fusion drive, we can save times, as I said. I'm sorry for my explanation and my English, but I have tried all my best. I hope you got something from this video. If you might need my personal suggestion, you can leave your comment underneath this video, or you can go to my Facebook page. Please kindly like it. You can leave your comment or personal message there, probably on the walls or anywhere. I promise I'll answer your question. Thanks for watching.